that we are here this evening so that we can talk about Agile. And I'm just too overly hyped because of this 5-day challenge we've been on, helping people who are passionate about Agile be able to find their space and learn how to package, present, and persuade people that they're simply the best Agilist anybody has ever seen in their entire life. I'm telling you, it's been life. It's been it has been really live. And who would have thought, right, that people would dig so deep into themselves, right? That people are telling me they're having emotional experiences as a
Mm.
result. Exciting. It is seriously, seriously exciting. So it's been really, 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 really good. What's been going on in your world there, Victor?
Doctor's visits, pregnant wives, work
Wives,
stuff.
wives, plural.
Wife. No. Pregnant wife. It's hard enough to deal with one pregnant wife. I don't know how you do two at the same time. That would be tough. But no, just dealing with that stuff.
You definitely have to add to that, wouldn't you?
Right. but no, I've got several friends who have been joining the 5-day challenge, and I had some time to join it one day myself, and I must say that the feedback I've been getting and the experience I've been receiving is that it is pretty amazing.
Yeah, it's been nice to be able to give back, to take away that, oh, how do I start? Because it's
Right.
one thing obviously to have the certifications,
Mm-hmm.
right? But when you're tying together years of experience, and I was this before, I'm this now, how do I tell this story? It's been pretty amazing to really, kind of dig into that. So I'm excited I took that leap and did it, because it's been something I've been thinking about on the inside, like,
Right.
and then I did one of those things, as you said, Victor. Lizzie, just do it.
Let's do it.
Just do it. Let's run the experiment. And so it's been a really, really great experience. But let me do a proper introduction to everybody. Welcome to Let's Talk Agile. This is a show that we've put together, and I'm here because I want people to demystify the stuff that they think is agile, and understand that when we talk about being agile and we take the Agile Manifesto, those 4 values, those 12 principles, and we embrace them and we allow them to become part of our essence, the way we live, we move, we breathe, we take on these fabulous mindsets, we start doing these amazing actions, and it changes your life. And you find out that Agile is not just for corporations, it's not just for products. Agile can be applied to your everyday living. So when we talk, Let's Talk Agile, our aim is to bring that concept to your mind every day, that Agile is not just for the workplace, Agile is for life too. So when we started out the show, we had brought to you quite a few guests. We do have some more guests in the pipeline. My schedule's been very busy with the stuff I've been doing, so I haven't been able to get back to some of our guests who are getting ready to come on, but we do have guests coming to you in the future. But until that time, you have myself and you have Victor here today. And I just came out of Clubhouse,
Mm-hmm.
right? Nimi's room. And if you look up Nimi is Agile Babe on Instagram.
Yeah.
And I love what
I
she's
think
doing.
she's Agile Bay.
Oh, sorry. Agile Bay.
Bay.
You're right. This is BAE. You're right. It's Agile Bay. Sorry, Nimi. Sorry. So I love what she's doing. She's kind of modernizing it.
Right.
So people are seeing that you can be an agilist and you can be fun and you can look good, and if you're looking at her from, oh my gosh, there's Black people in this industry. Yes, I did say the B word. Yes, there's Black people in the industry. And she's showing that to the younger generation so that they know this is a space they could get into.
Right.
And I read an article today about 2 twin doctors, right? 2 Black twin doctors who both became in the medical field. And they said when they were younger, they never even thought it was possible. Then they saw a female doctor and they were like, oh, there's women doctors. And it inspired them. So then they got into medicine and they've achieved and they are what they are now. And they've started a special foundation, which is all about educating young girls to know that they can reach for that industry, which I just think is just awesome. Right. And that's what we're doing here. Here's our intention to remind everybody that this industry is not just about the paper, the ethoses, the philosophy, but this industry is about people, bringing people together from all different walks of life, all different industries, and allowing them to come together as a mosaic and create amazing things. Right. And when you embrace the thing about the people, that's what makes it amazing.
Right.
But when you focus just in, as Agile talks about, the processes and the tools, you miss it.
Right.
You miss the beauty that's in this thing. You really, really do. You totally miss it. What makes you passionate about it, Victor? That keeps you coming back to it. Because you have other things you could literally be doing. You don't really have to be in this Agile world. You could be doing the other things that you're involved in.
Right. I think that originally I'm from Nigeria, and I think that kind of the lack of opportunity that a lot of the youth have in Nigeria, that, maybe 20, 30, 50 years ago could have been equated to the lack of opportunity young people had in India and have used to turn hey, son. I'm sorry, I have my kid and my wife talking to me. But the way
most people are home. They get it. They get it.
Right. So the way India has been able to kind of turn that lack of opportunity into like an abundance of opportunity, kind of in this tech space and in the internet, and with all of the things like, India is like a powerhouse for technology now. And so I feel like that opportunity exists in Nigeria as well. And so I want to kind of be a beacon of hope to Nigerians in Nigeria, as well as, some African Americans here, right? Because in our communities, like this tech space is not something many of us aspire to or saw a way to get into. And so the barrier for entry, I guess, is low in that there are some entry level IT jobs that you can get into with little to no experience, right? And once your eyes are open to the opportunities that exist in this space, I think moving up to some of these mid and senior level Agile roles, and even, if it's in a waterfall organization, I think those opportunities exist. And so I think it's just important for me to be someone who carries that banner to people in my circle and around the world.
I agree. I remember it was Abby who was the person who invited me to Nigeria. So that's going back some years ago. And I did the first ever certified Scrum Master and Scrum product owner in Nigeria and opened up Nigeria for the Scrum Alliance.
Yep, I remember.
Yeah, and we had so many people come and learn. And then when the pandemic hit, it was my first online class that I did. Right? I think we had like 45, 50 people there. Right. Mm-hmm. And we were able to experiment with the virtual, and learn so much about what needed to be improved. Because I remember when I started doing it then, I was using a whiteboard. So I had one camera faced to the whiteboard and had that coming into to Zoom, and I had another one on the workbook. You know what I mean? Now I'm more modernized, right? So I got iPads.
Right.
So instead of using a flip board, I got my iPad. Although I have to say, I miss the flip chart.
You miss it, don't you? Yeah. That's why I've got my whiteboard back here. Like it's invaluable.
I do.
Right?
I do. The other day, I literally had taken some of the furniture in here, and I had split my cupboards and made a little space. And I'm like, I could have a little wheelie whiteboard right in there.
Right.
I'd still use a whiteboard because I see some people on Instagram And you know what I mean? And LinkedIn, and I'm like, they still got a whiteboard. I'm like, maybe I could get a whiteboard and bring
Yeah,
it. I'm
absolutely.
thinking about it. I haven't made the move yet to do it, but I'm definitely thinking about it because I miss my whiteboard. I still have here in my office. I got 5 flip charts, like
Yeah,
the post-it ones that stick it to the wall. I got 5 back there,
yeah.
right?
You got
Because
dozens of boxes in the garage.
I'm telling you, I do miss the flip chart activity and that idea of, everybody gathering around a flip chart.
Hmm.
Of course, with COVID, as much as certain states, like the state we live in, would like us
Right,
to think that COVID is totally over,
right,
those of us know better. So
right.
we can't gather people tight like that anymore. But I'm
Hmm.
so thankful for how we've been able to take the digital world and use it to our advantage.
Right.
So what
Absolutely.
people used to think as a swear word when you said digital, it's
Hmm.
now how we're living, breathing, and doing business.
Right. And
Right?
thriving, right? There are a couple of organizations that I'm working with that are delivering more value faster now than they were pre-pandemic. And I don't know if it's because when people are at home, they work longer hours, or if it's because when you're at home, because you're free to run to the refrigerator and grab something to eat. The kids are here. Sometimes, depending on the kids' attitudes, you can work and play with them kind of at the same time. And so people are working longer hours and just more productive. So it's going to be interesting to see, how the world, especially the agile world, adapts to this, because I can remember a time when if you're calling to try to get a scrum master job, you have to be willing to relocate to wherever this organization is at. And now everybody is like remote to the end of COVID, or remote to be discussed, and there are a lot of organizations that are hiring remote indefinitely for scrum masters that I've heard some of my colleagues talking about. So it's an exciting time.
It is, and there was a meme that somebody put on LinkedIn about people going back to work, and they used from Pulp Fiction,
Uh-huh.
right? They had Samuel L. Jackson and
John
what is his
Travolta.
name? John Travolta, right? With the t-shirts on, weird t-shirts, briefcase,
Uh-huh.
and like a
Uh-huh.
brown bag, and said people going back to the office after working from home for over a year, right? It was hilarious, right? It was so funny. And I'm like, are corporations really going to be, and I'm going to say it, that naive
Hmm.
to think that what they need to do to take their organization is to bring people back into the offices?
So at
I
least
wonder, I wonder if they're really going, because I know there's some organizations that are feeling that way. Like, bring them all
Mhm.
back. But how much money would they save if
Yeah.
they didn't?
So at least one organization that I'm working with is like, yes, everyone's coming back to the office now. But I think companies are going to suffer. I think those organizations that are thinking like that still and don't have some type of work from home policy, or at least, 1 or 2 days a week, flex time, something of that nature. Those are the dinosaurs in the industry. And if they don't adapt soon, they will die.
No,
Right.
because people are going to leave because there are options now.
Right.
Organizations with CEOs who are cutting edge and who've paid attention, right?
Hmm.
They've looked at the data. They've seen they've been just as productive and even more so. They've
Right.
looked at it and they're going to say, yeah, nah, let the people
Right.
stay at home,
Right.
right? And, run the experiment longer because we've run the experiment for almost a year going into 2 years.
Right. Right.
And they have still made profits,
Yep.
right? There's expenses that they've definitely been able to cut back on.
Absolutely.
It was just coffee. And
Yep.
you know what I mean? How much money you spend on coffee a year for people, snacks
Insurance,
for people.
electricity, water, like even just the fundamental utilities, like they're
Fundamental.
safe. They're saving,
Absolutely.
but
Yeah,
they.
there's
Yep.
been cost
Yep.
savings. And if
Yep.
you keep people at home,
Hmm.
you're going to be able to cut your bill back on insurance, on
Right.
liability insurance,
Right.
right? Because you don't have to have that hefty liability insurance. And that is not cheap.
Hmm.
Talking from a business owner, right?
Hmm.
I'm letting you know liability insurance every year because people could be at your building. You never know what might happen to them.
Yep.
It is not cheap.
Yep.
And when you're talking about you have an organization with 2,000, 3,000, 5,000 people, ugh,
Mm, mm.
you know what? You're right. The
Right.
checks you're writing out for that are huge.
And
But
so
now I'm
I think
home.
I think the struggle for a lot of these companies is one, they don't trust their people, right? There are a lot of organizations that are like, if I can't see you, if we don't have butts in the chair, people in the office, we don't know if you're working, and we don't trust you enough to work on your own. And again, like this new generation of kids that are coming out of college, I like to kind of put myself in that category, even though I'm a little bit older. We don't want to work for those kind of companies, right?
That's
Once
right.
this once the older generation that is in their like 20, 30, 40-year tenure with the company retires, they're going to have a hell of a time bringing in new, fresh, qualified, talented talent, because they're going to go for the companies that are going to be flexible with them and give them more time, to have more work-life balance, honestly.
Yeah, because they're humans, and those organizations have recognized the human factor is important. Because I mean, let's look at the mental health crisis
Right.
that emerged, right?
Hmm.
That organizations realized, oh my gosh, we're going to have to take care of our employees' mental health, because if we don't, we're not going to have employees. So the challenges that came around that, even that has come up for employers, right? So they're looking at the insurances that they give people. They're looking at creating days. They're looking at creating groups, support groups.
Right.
People have had to do things for the human,
Right.
and I've been a big advocate, right? Anybody's followed me on LinkedIn over the years. I'm a big advocate for the human component.
Hmm.
But I think the human component screamed out over the past year,
Hmm.
right? The humanity screamed out, and the notion of professionalism got killed.
Right. Right. Right.
It totally got killed because the humans had to survive. And
Right.
professional humans, non professional humans, rich humans, poor humans, celebrity humans got hit,
Right.
right? And so all the humans had to come together to say, here is our humanity. What do we do to make sure our race survives?
Hmm.
Because it became global, right? It came down to the very core. What do we do to make our race survive?
Right.
Because if the race don't survive, forget the economy,
Right.
right?
Right.
Because you need the workers, you need the intelligence, you need the people. It doesn't
Right.
work without the people.
Hmm.
Right. And we have seen how people have become entrepreneurs, people have
Yep.
experimented, people have got closer with their families.
Yep.
When we talk about individuals and interactions, we
Yep.
have seen those during this whole season grow so rich.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Because people have had to find a way to connect even when they're not physically connected, right? And so previously we could sit in the same room with someone, right? And be in the room with them like this for 45 minutes and then say, okay, I gotta go, right? And so now we're so much yearning for that connection, right? Because
So
we can't
guilty.
go, right? We'll sit now in front of those same screens and stare and listen intently, right? Because this is, for some people, the only human interaction, connection that we're able to get, right? That and the Amazon guy who's dropping off packages at the
Right.
door and with a mask, right? So, yeah, the human element we see has become like more important than ever. And, had this pandemic happened 15, 20 years ago,
Whoa.
um, it would have been tough, right? Because without FaceTime, Zoom, Skype, Facebook Messenger, all of these tools that we're using to communicate, there weren't a lot of tools that were there that would have enabled us to still stay in touch with our family and our
No,
loved ones.
no, absolutely. We wouldn't have been, we'd have gone back to writing mail, letters.
That's what it, man, we would have saved USPS.
We would have, right? Because everybody would be writing letters and sending cards and postcards, and you
Right.
know, that's what would have happened and taken its place.
Yeah.
Because again, still the need of feeling I'm connected. You're hearing what I'm saying. I'm hearing what you're saying.
Hmm.
Right? That's what that's probably what we would have seen is more letter writing. But
Yeah.
what I found interesting as well is in a lot of the groups, because I've met some amazing people as a
Yeah.
result of COVID
Yep.
through these online platforms. And I have to say, I'm always raving for Clubhouse. Clubhouse
Hmm.
needs to be paying me for how much I rave for Clubhouse, right? Because I'm meeting so many people from so many walks of life there that I would never have met in the regular
Hmm.
world. I just wouldn't have. My schedule, again, my life being as busy as it was, I just would never have met these people. But
Right.
now you're meeting people and you're learning so many people are doing similar things like journaling.
Right. Right.
So many people are journaling, taking that time to do what we call a retrospective.
Right.
People are taking that pause and they're reflecting and really looking at what they're doing, looking at their life and making plans and making small changes,
Mm-hmm.
to improve their everyday existence. And I think
Yeah.
that's beautiful.
Yeah.
So we are seeing the world that doesn't know Agile becoming Agile.
Right. Um, there are a lot of friends and family that I've talked to that, despite the pandemic, this last 12 months, they've made more money than they made any other year of their life. Right. And so I think that, again, is a testament to the fact that, when your back is up against the wall, when it's fight or flight, um, that sixth sense kind of kicks in, right? And you inspect and adapt. And people have found ways to adapt and do just about everything that we were doing before the pandemic through some sort of, electronic means,
Right.
right? So my wife and I are part of a like a couples group, right? There are a lot of couples, and we used to plan like couples group dates. So we planned a cruise, we planned a couples game night, like all these types of different fun adventures we would do, karaoke. And so we inspected and adapted, and we started having those game nights virtually on Zoom. And
Okay.
so, yeah, a different couple would host, I think every other Saturday or something of that nature. And they would be responsible for planning whatever the game was. So whether it was Jeopardy, whether it was whatever, like they planned it. And we had a lot of fun, right? And so it almost really made it feel like we were uh,
Together.
together in the same room. Yeah.
I mean, I know my family in the UK, and I have a large family there because
Hmm.
my dad comes from a family of 16 brothers and sisters,
Wow.
right? And we had early in COVID, one of my uncles on my dad's side died from COVID.
Mm,
So it was the first experience of a funeral
mm,
on Zoom.
mm.
Right? I mean, and that's a huge adaptation,
Right.
especially because my background's Caribbean.
Hmm.
So we have a tradition around what happens when somebody dies, right? We have a thing called 9 nights.
Okay.
So for 9 evenings, people gather with the family
Hmm.
to talk about the person who's gone on, and to have to, to kind of talk good talks. And it's kind of like a party for 9 days, right? So people are
Right.
drinking, they're eating, there's food cooked, there's all of this. And because
Hmm.
of COVID, that couldn't happen
Mm,
because England had very strict things about how many people could be in a household.
hmm.
And our tradition as well is that when we bury the person, the whole family shovels the dirt on the person. We never have anybody bury our dead but ourselves, right?
Mm,
So we put the dead into the ground and everybody covers them over until they're fully, and then the staff of the cemetery take over and do the final layover.
mhm,
But that's our
mhm,
tradition, right?
mhm,
So
mhm,
this we couldn't do it.
mm,
And that was really hard on the
mm,
family
mhm,
because we had strangers
mm,
putting our family in the ground.
mm,
So it was like we weren't saying our goodbyes the way we should have.
mhm,
Right. And if he was, I mean, that uncle was the oldest of the brothers, right? So he was the first child.
mm,
So there was this real sense of we haven't done him well.
Mm. Mm.
because we weren't able to do it. What was really great was the procession down the street
Mm-hmm.
that was totally was totally zoomed.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm here, right? And I'm here in the US. My family's all over the different parts of England. I've got some family who are in like deep Europe, and everybody was able to be on Zoom and
Mm.
watch the parade.
Mm.
You know what I mean? And go through.
Mm.
And as a result, we started doing family Zooms.
Mm.
We had never, the only time we would get together as a family is funerals and weddings.
Right.
Christenings didn't get that many people,
Right.
right? Funerals and weddings, you get people coming from all parts of the world. So now the family started to have a Zoom that happened like every once a month or so. So now I've got a chance to meet cousins I'd never met before. Do you know what I mean? So we were started to utilize the technology that wouldn't have happened in the past. So as bad as it was a death that
Right.
got technology to the family, at
Mm-hmm.
least the family now started using the technology.
Right.
So it,
That's,
worked out for a good thing.
that's another thing. Like these, I'm just say old people using technology, like the old people who like didn't know how to use a smartphone, like couldn't like answer the phone when you're calling. Like they are my parents are figuring out how to FaceTime and Zoom, right? To see their grandkids, right? They figured it out. They know
No,
how to answer,
grandkids ain't no joke. I've been
they know how to
FaceTiming
call
my
them,
granddaughter. It's not a joke. That's
right?
the situation. And she'd be like, hey, grandma, you going to call me back? I'll call you back, baby. I'll call you back.
It's
Yes.
real. I've seen like our whole church service. Um, we've been meeting on Zoom for over a year now. Um, and my church members, they are not technically savvy, right? But they figured out a way to do it. What else? Naming ceremonies. On Nigerian community, we're real big on naming ceremonies. I didn't host it, but I helped set it up and send out the invitation for my first naming ceremony on Zoom. And my dad, my dad's a pastor, so he prayed over the baby, and I was like, wow, we're really like doing this as if there were no pandemic. Like it became second nature so quickly that man, it's crazy. It's crazy. It's crazy.
It is. It shows that as a society, as a world, we have the ability to inspect and adapt. And the truth is, we always have. That's the
Right.
truth. We always have done. If we trace civilizations, look at the plague and all these, when there've been these really big diseases in our history, we
Hmm.
inspected and adapted.
Right.
And we inspected and adapted again as a world.
Yeah.
And it shows we have the ability to do it. But sadly, it appears to take crisis
Yeah. To
to
make
cause us to tap into our inbuilt agility.
right.
What if we were able to stand back and say, we've done this before, why not do this every day?
Hmm.
What kind of changes could we make in society?
Hmm.
What kind of problems could we really solve?
Hmm.
Do you know what I mean? As a global society, because one of the things that's happened with this is that the world came together. It was a little bit like the Avengers movie,
Absolutely.
right?
Absolutely.
Right when Thanos came and clicked, and everybody was, all of a sudden all the borders went down, and everybody's coming together, regardless of their creed, their tradition, the boundaries. All the boundaries were gone, and people were coming together again,
Hmm.
just as people and
Hmm.
building community. And then when everybody came back, they
Right.
forgot, and they had to think about, well, how do we do the world now? People have been used to community,
Right.
and now
Right.
we're telling them the borders have got to go back.
Right.
We've got to put back in the separations.
Like
We
what?
need to put back in government. And they're
Right.
like, y'all been gone for 5 years and we've been all right.
We've been
You
good.
understand? Everybody's been good. We've been eating. We've been
Right.
talking.
Right.
We've come together. The differences that used to keep us apart are no longer differences. But you want to come back and put them in?
Right.
What? It was, and I really sat with that a while because I'm a big Marvel fan. Okay, big Marvel fan. So I've been watching The Winter Soldier and the Falcon.
Uh-huh.
right? And the whole 6 series were really about this idea of dealing with the fact that everybody came back,
Mm-hmm.
and then the government wanting to take control and put all their processes back.
Back in place.
So
Right.
what we had was the government wanting to put back in processes and tools when the world had individuals and interactions.
Right. Right.
And I like, whoa, this is the problem they're facing, because they're taking away agility and they're favoring their processes and tools, and the world is fighting back.
Yeah.
And I
And
wonder what lesson Marvel, because Marvel's history has been to take what the world is going through at a
right.
large
Right.
scale and present it back to them, the messaging, so they can see, look, it doesn't
Right.
have to be this way. But I
Right.
wonder if people have been paying attention to that and kind of seeing that that's what's going on.
Yeah, I don't know. And as you're saying this, what's kind of coming to my mind, which is funny because I've never thought of it before. And it took us like what, a year or so to come up with probably half a dozen to a dozen different vaccines for this, right? Because probably most of these pharmaceutical companies were 100% focused on resolving this issue of COVID. So it just makes me think, right? Like, what if everybody put this much energy towards like a cure for cancer, right? Or a vaccine for cancer. And I know cancer is, not a virus and all of that. I'm not a doctor, I'm not in the medical field, so I don't really know how it goes. But I have to imagine that, like, if everybody was like focused on a single goal, like, or had a unified enemy, like COVID or cancer, right? Like, something would probably happen, right?
Yeah. Sadly, cancer doesn't kill the economy. It helps to make the economy better.
Right. Because you can medicate it sometimes for an extended period.
Medicated sometimes, you can have treatments for it, and it's a $1 trillion industry.
Right.
But COVID was killing industry.
Right. Right.
So if we kept COVID, there would be no industry. There would be no pharmaceutical. There
Right.
would be none of that. So it was a cause everybody could agree on was worth their
Mhm.
best talents and their best minds, because
Yeah.
this will kill our very system,
Right.
which is
Right.
sad, right?
Yeah.
But it proves exactly what you've said. But again, the concept is, when we talk to people about value out of value necessary,
Hmm.
right?
Hmm.
COVID demanded value necessary,
Right.
right?
Right.
Because if you don't do this, all the other stuff you want to get, all the other money you're used to earning,
Right. Right.
it's gone.
Right.
So this became a necessity for focus, a necessity for attention. And sadly, you can see this pattern with organizations as well. When out of necessity, we were just talking about it, out of necessity, they become virtual.
Right.
But once it's no longer a necessity, they go back to status quo.
Right.
Right? When it's a necessity, we bring everybody together and we meet every day.
Yeah.
We're all right now. Go back to the regular waterfall pattern.
Hmm.
Touch base every 3-4 months.
Right.
If there's no pain, it appears as humans, right, we don't hold a focus,
Right.
because it's hard for us to focus just for a benefit.
Hmm.
It's easier for us to focus for a pain,
Yeah.
right? And it says something to our society wiring,
Hmm.
right? That we don't seek making benefits and greater good. We just see eliminating harm that causes pain. And if the harm don't cause us too much pain, we ain't touching it.
Right.
Like, if the pain isn't affecting absolute everybody, we won't find a solve for it, even if we could,
Right.
because it's not affecting everybody. But the thing about COVID was, COVID didn't care if you were rich, poor, famous, unfamous. It was going to mess with you.
Right.
So every part of society was affected and was open to being affected by it.
Right. And it's funny that you say that because despite that, we still have, right? So I don't know if we talked about this before. I spoke to someone else about this. Like, if everyone in the world or the US would have just stayed indoors for like 14 days, this could have all been essentially over in 14 days, right? Right? If you get sick, maybe you call the ambulance, maybe you go to the doctor, you have to go out for that. There's a way we can, get food delivered or something, right? Super essential workers. But I think because of um, whatever reason, right? You've always got some people who aren't willing to sacrifice yet because it's not affecting them directly yet. And so, right, they want to do what's not even best, but what's most comfortable for them now without the foresight for how it might impact the world or those around them.
Because they're still focused in the visual. So they're still here, the individual. They're not looking to the interactions.
Right.
I don't know what happens to them. It's not me.
Right.
We're good over here. Right. It was it was literally when you think about the toilet paper situation, remember?
It was tough.
The toilet paper, right? People
Right.
were like, they're going home, they're gonna need toilet paper. Let's buy it up and sell it back at a ransom.
Right.
Right? And I mean, that was very entrepreneurial. You knew there would be a demand for it.
Right.
Right? But I remember when that happened, and I thought to myself, but people are at home with their showers. Do they
Right.
think about that part? You
Right.
can get in the bathtub and then jump in the shower, clean off, and the other way, they're home. I mean, toilet paper is not that necessity as such. And there are wipes. They didn't go for the wipes. They just went for the regular toilet paper, right?
Right. Right.
I remember us stacking up on wipes because we couldn't get any toilet paper. And then my son in Canada saying, "Do you want me to send you some toilet paper, Mom? Because I can get it here and I can just ship it out to you. You want toilet paper?" I was like, "No, we're good. We got wipes. And we got the shower.
Right.
Yeah, we'll survive." I mean, I'm OCD on clean as it is. So it's
Right.
nothing to me to be in the shower 2-3 times a day, right? It's
Right.
just me, right? Because like I said, I got OCD issues. But I mean, I just didn't see the big deal.
Right.
But what I loved, and this is what I have to call Amazon out for this fabulousness. Amazon shut down all those people who were selling, toilet paper at a ransom.
Right.
They paid deadly for that. Amazon accounts getting shut down and the whole 9 yards because Amazon said, we will not have you abuse our customers.
Right.
Because in all of this, I think they have been so amazing, right? Because they have figured out how to keep collaboration for us going.
Right.
With everything that we could need. They have tried their best to be able to get it to us. They have ramped up their services. They have hired independents, right? They've contracted out so that the people at home, your delivery will not stop. We can get it to you and nobody else can.
Mm.
And they brought jobs to people in
Right.
this time that were out of work.
Right.
So they even created a new job economy, right? For people who their jobs had laid them off. They were at home. They had vehicles, right? Even for some of the Uber people, think about it. People weren't getting in Ubers anymore. Here's
Right.
another thing you can do now. So, like you said, new industries were created out of what was
Right.
going on,
Right.
which is amazing that this happened. So
Right.
there is such ingenuity that we have as humans if we will allow ourselves to just be open. You know what I mean? Be open that every crisis is not a death sentence, right? Every bad thing that happens every day, there is an opportunity for the emergence of an adaptation. There's always that opportunity. But the thing is, we probably don't hunt for it. And I was talking to some of my coaching clients the other day, and then I made this. I said this as well in our show on Tuesday night, the link, and I said every circumstance has breadcrumbs in it, right? And
Right.
you just
Yep.
gotta hunt for the breadcrumbs,
Hmm.
because crumbs are showing you a route to something else that you would never have imagined or thought you could find your way to.
Right.
But you've got to look for them, because the breadcrumbs they're not just necessarily that obvious. So
Right.
you do a deep dive for those.
Right.
But when you
Absolutely.
do, they're there.
Absolutely. Right. Because like if I mean if you think about our show, right? This show, right? We weren't doing this before COVID, right?
Right.
And if we wanted to do this, we probably would have like had to take out 2 or 3 hours out of our schedule and go up to Bearded Eagle and do the lights, camera, makeup, right, in the office,
Yes, you had to do it for real, because we'd
right?
have had to do it right. The whole
And make
media team would have been like, no, we can't just do it like that. It's got to be the right setting. It's got to have the right
exactly,
background.
exactly. And but because of COVID, we're just like, we just got to do it, right? There's
Yeah,
something in us that we have to get out, and so we just got to figure out a way to get it done by any means necessary. And
that's
so
right.
if even if you start, like, it's funny because I wanted to try to set up my 4K camera to shoot before the show, but dealing with the kids, so I didn't get a chance to. But I mean, just use what you got, right? If you got to use your laptop camera, if you got to use your whatever camera, like, just use what you got and iterate next time, right?
That's right. You improve, right? We inspect and we adapt.
Right.
That's what we got to do, and we do it all the time. And I've had to get better at that, because pre-COVID, being spoiled with having an entire media team,
Right.
right, who take care of all this kind of stuff and whatever. And then you're like, oh, I don't have an entire media team anymore.
Right.
What do I do now? And when
Right.
I called some of them, okay, Lizzie, all you need is this. You just need no, you're fine. And I'd be like, okay, do you think the lighting's all right? No, that lighting is washed out. What are you doing? No. No, that lighting is just ridiculous. What are you? I'm
Right.
like, I don't know. I did some research on YouTube. And YouTube said to get this thing, so I got it and I
Right.
stuck it up. You know what I mean?
Right.
And I got the wrong camera. So I got a camera that cuts out every 20 minutes. Great pictures. But
The other camera that I got.
right, but not the best for video. So I
Right.
have to adapt with using
Yep.
my MacBook, right?
Yep.
Or now I've gone with the Logitech Biro or something,
Yeah.
right? Which is like, okay, it works.
Right.
It's not a Sony,
Right.
$3,600 and something dollars,
Right.
right? But it gives me a picture,
Right.
right? And it works, and I can communicate and still be live with it.
Absolutely.
So it is that sense of, we're not creating waste.
Right.
So when you think about lean and the waste, right? One of the things we're doing now is we're eliminating waste.
Right.
We're definitely minimizing motion.
Yep.
When it comes to inventory on stuff, I have to say I'm a lot lighter
Yeah.
than I've ever been in my life,
Yep.
right?
Mhm.
Back and forward transportation, no. And we have cut that down. Think about it. When you think about the time that you would spend to get to work, or like you were saying, for us to get together to do a project together,
Right. Right.
that was transportation waste.
Absolutely.
And now that isn't going on, because we're not moving back and forward like that to do that stuff, right? We have
Absolutely.
minimized motion down to what is absolutely necessary to make this work. And we
Right.
are proving we are able to make it work.
Yeah. Yeah. Last year, right around the beginning of COVID, I was car shopping, right? I was literally at the dealership on Friday, looking at 2 different cars before COVID. And that Sunday night, my manager texted me and said, "Hey, don't come into the office. We're going to be working from home for a while," right? And so I literally went over a year without having a vehicle, right? I just now purchased another vehicle like a month or two ago, right? But literally, the household didn't need more than the cars that we had, because I'm not going anywhere, right? I'm
All
working
right.
from home, right?
Right.
Spent a lot of money on my desk and my office setup and all these screens and whiteboards and all of this stuff. But,
Right.
you know,
Yeah, because definitely,
That,
yeah, I bought one of those. What do you call it? The lift desks, the one
yeah,
that's
with the electric.
ergonomically.
Yeah.
What's it?
Uh-huh.
The electric lift. Oh
Uh-huh.
yeah, I did. And this puppy will go all the way up for like for a 6 foot person, and I'm only 5'4", right? So this thing works. And let me show you this one thing, this one contraption, right? So as you guys see me moving around, it came with one of these. So it's a
Nice.
balancing thing.
Balance. Yeah.
So right, so you're a
Tighten the
balancer.
core up.
So as right, so as you're working, right, you get
Yeah.
the ability to balance. So you're doing
Right.
something.
Right.
So which is great because I'm a workaholic, all right, and
Yeah.
I'm not in a recovery program. Yeah, don't inbox me about it. This is the balance that works for Lizzie. Okay, Lizzie M is quite happy with her balance. It's working for me. It's where my value is at right now.
Right.
Because there's this whole myth about work-life balance,
Right.
and you can have people beaten up. Oh, you don't have a work-life balance. But the question I always ask people, and I say this to my coaching clients, is it the balance that's right for you right now?
Exactly. Because everybody's balance isn't everybody's scale.
Everybody's balance is different. You can't prescribe that stuff. Because if you're prescribing somebody else's balance, you know what you're doing? It's like you're saying to the developers team, this is how you do it.
Right.
The idea is, what is the outcome? And the outcome should be value, and the outcome that people should be having is peace, right? So if you're
Mm-hmm.
staying in your peace, even if everybody else figures your life is, oh my God, how can you live that way? Don't worry about it. Just as unique as our fingerprints are, so are our lifestyles,
Right.
right? And that should be okay.
Yep.
You just you gotta break down some of those myths.
Right.
And when things emerge, you gotta inspect and adapt. For some people, one of the things, like keep saying about this, COVID brought this thing of, right now, what's pulling me is my family,
Right.
right? So
Right.
a lot of people have been so pulled by their family. Now they have decided the value factor on this is so high for me. I will
Mm-hmm.
never allow an organization to pull me the other way.
Yep.
So choices come back in. So
Yep.
for them now, what is balanced for them today is different from what was balanced before.
Absolutely.
Right. So
Absolutely.
they were good before with maybe coming home for bath time, the story time, and that was good for them. Right.
Right.
But now it's something else. They're being pulled in a different direction. And
Right.
then there's some people who've never thought about business before,
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
and
Mm-hmm.
they were your
Mm-hmm.
people who went to work and checked out.
Yep.
But now something emerged in them that had never been there before, and it's pulling them, and they're doing their job, but they're
Right.
working at night too, and they're building something. They're building out a dream.
Right.
And
Right.
that's pulling on them, right? And they're loving it, and it's energizing them. So for them right now, that is balance.
Right.
So
Absolutely.
the key really is finding what is balance for me. What is my personal agility, right? Because if we don't find our personal agility, right? What is the balance for me? What is my technical excellence, right? And we
Mm-hmm.
don't inspect and adapt to that,
Mm-hmm.
what we will find ourselves doing is carbon copying everybody else's lifestyle, and it won't fit.
Right.
It
Right.
won't fit you because it's not your life, it's not your journey,
Mm-hmm.
right? So when we think about, if I go to the product owner stuff for a second, and when you think product owners look at their customer base, right? And they
Mm-hmm.
look at what is valuable for this customer isn't necessarily valuable for this customer.
Right.
So when we're dealing with this customer, this is what we need to give them.
Right.
And these are the services that they need to do
Right.
their business, to make their business profitable. This
Right.
is the service that this business needs to make their thing profitable.
Right.
So they understand their customers.
Yep.
Sadly, we have not taken the time out to understand ourselves.
Absolutely. Right. And that looks like, right, with product owners, that looks like persona mapping, right? Making the
Right?
different personas, right? So a 30 something couple with kids that are under 5 years old, right? For them, work life balance looks like being able to be home more with the kids, right? For a 50 something couple that's empty nesters, but planning to retire early and looking to maximize the contributions to their 401k, maybe 10-hour, 12-hour work days because they know it's on a short, right, runway. You know, we're gonna do this for like 2 years, 3 more years, and then we're gonna retire and travel the world. So that's okay to them, right? And so you really have to map out what your personal persona is for your work-life balance, and determine what's valuable and most important to you, and see how you can find an organization or shape your career or business to fit into the lifestyle that you want to have.
Yeah, I mean, I think that's key, right? Because I sat down and I thought about it. And in fact, I did a coaching session today with a client. And when we got into this and we talked about the myth of balance, and that's what I called it. And I said, okay, so let's look at this. Why is this calling me a problem? So I said, so many things have myths around them, right?
Right.
And there's a myth of balance.
Right.
And in many cases, it's used as a whip against people. A
Mm-hmm.
method of controlling, and it makes people feel good or it makes people feel bad.
Right.
Right. And whole communities can be against you on it because they all live this pattern of lifestyle, and you're living something different. So your lifestyle.
Right.
And when we went into it, you know, and they began to unpack their thoughts and feelings around it, they realized, wow, yeah, I've been doing that to myself. So to injury I've done to myself because I have embraced somebody else's truth as my own. This is what I love about experimentation, right? Experimentation, which is what we do in our Scrum world, is we have a hypothesis. We don't have a truth. We have a hypothesis. Let's prove it, and let's get some empirical evidence. Is our hypothesis truth, or is it a fact? Facts are subject to change with new empirical data. Truths remain constant.
Right.
And the thing is, we have taken so many concepts, traditions, habits, sayings, and we have decided to make them truths and monuments, right? When really we should have pulled them into an experiment, right? And their hypothesis.
Right.
They're not a truth.
Right.
They're a fact.
Right.
Facts are subject to change with new emerging data.
Mm-hmm.
Why can't we put new emerging data on that fact? Why is that fact so holy and sacred? Right? That it can't be pulled into an experiment.
Right.
And COVID has just allowed so many life experiments to be run.
Mm-hmm.
And we are learning now the difference between facts and truth.
Yeah.
Right? So facts. People never used to be able to work from home. Wasn't a truth. Right? It was a fact for certain organizations that, you put 10 people at home, they're going to be lazy watching movies all day. They'll all be on Netflix, they'll be on Facebook.
Right.
When in fact, when you have people in the office, because they don't want to be there, they spend more time on social media. And here's the thing, they don't have to use your computer. So people thought because they shut it down from the computer, people couldn't be on it. Hello, smartphones. Right? People just go in the washroom or go over to the cafeteria, take their phone out. For hours, what are you going to do? Tell somebody to come out the washroom? They're grown adults. You can't do that, right?
Right.
So what you thought you could control, again, illusions, right?
Right.
Not facts.
I'm pulling this thing out. Somebody gave me this when I was last working in the office, but these little stands for the phones.
Right. Yes.
Right.
I have some.
And then you get the ear pod, right? And you put it in, and they've got it sitting right next to their computer. And they're watching Netflix, they're watching HBO, and they're working, right? So you can't, you're not going to be able to stop people from doing these things. But as you were talking about balance, right, it made me think, right? So everybody's balance is not the same, right? And so I was thinking, like, if you would like to take a cup of water, right, and you were to melt down a bar of gold and pour that melted gold into a container that was a cup, and you were to put both of them on the scale, which one's going to weigh more?
Oh, I don't know.
The gold is.
Is it that the gold does weigh more? Because I was going to say gold, but I'm like, I'm not sure on my science on that. Is it really heavier? Yeah. Okay.
Because of the mass, right?
Right, yes.
The mass and the density, right? Gold is denser than water, right? The molecule I'm not a mathematician either, but I'm going to try to sound like one. I might be
Okay.
wrong. The molecules are closer together, more closely bound than they are in
Right.
water. So it's going to be heavier. And so, although they look like they're about the same, it's going to be off, right? And
Ooh, I
so
know where you're going with
people
this.
have different makeups, right? People have different, things that drive them. And so one person's balance may be water, right? But the other person's may be gold. And so you've got to find the right weight or balance for your makeup. And it's not going to be the same for everybody. Although we may look similar on the outside, right? It's not going to be the same for everybody. So
Because I think about me when I'm in the zone on something, it's easy for me to go 3 days and no sleep.
Yeah.
And I'm in it. And I'm good.
Yeah.
I'm in it, man. I'm in it. I'm just on some adrenaline right now. This is working. You say that to other people, they have a heart attack.
Right.
At the mirror, well, how do you cope? Well, how do you think? And how do you and how it's just the way I'm wired.
Right.
I'm wired different from other people,
People
right?
need 12
My
hours of
wiring
sleep
is
a night.
this. And you'll have people say, well, the human body can only do, you have no idea what the human body can do.
Right.
Because the human body is driven by the brain.
Right.
And the brain is still so much of an unknown phenomenon.
Right.
Right. So when you tap into your brain and you make your brain do stuff for you, it's amazing what it can make the body do because the body is supported by whatever messages it receives from the brain.
Right.
That's just truth, right? So it's interesting for me that my brain can tell myself, no, this is too good. This is good. No, we gotta be on this one. Right. And everything keeps snapping and my thoughts keep thinking. And I know the minute my brain is done, because my brain stops responding for me. It says, now we're good on this now. Go sleep. And I could be wanting to watch something that's so interesting to me. Oh, I've wanted to watch this. And my brain goes, this is important. Go to sleep.
Right.
Shut it down.
Right.
And the rest of the body goes, and the brain said, shut her down. Shut her
Right.
down, shut her down. We're shutting her down. She's resisting. Pulling harder. Shut her down. And I get shut down. Right. And I get scratched, right?
Right.
Because it's my brain saying, no, you're done now.
Right. Right.
And I respect those things, and I've learned for myself, and people who are really close to me have learned this about me too. My balance level is different. Right. And what I had to learn over the years was to accept this is who I am. And not allow myself to be judged by everybody else. And that's something, if there is one message I could leave with everybody in the world, is never feel you need permission for your passion.
Right. Right. Right.
All you need for your passion is your choice.
Right. Right.
And if you've chosen your passion, then pursue it and go for gusto. Right. And the world will catch up with you. Because the world decided, the universe, God decided everybody's unique. Yes, we all have the same parts, right? And the parts work together. But everybody's carrying a very unique essence, their own mission, right? It's like, I'm a product, you're a product. We're all different products here to serve in different capacities. And so the thing I believe people need to latch into beyond work, beyond jobs, is finding what is your life service.
Right.
The product of you, what are you to serve? What is your product supposed to serve? Who's your customer base? Right? Who are they? Hunt those out, because they're waiting for the product that is you. No more, no less. They accept you as you are because they're waiting for your product. My product isn't for them.
Right.
Right? They'll find flaws in my product because my product isn't designed for that market, for those people. But there's a market waiting for everybody. And so when we look at when Agile started, and but then the room came about, right? And everybody's pulling it. People are wanting to know, what's this Agile stuff people are talking about? What's this? I want to be Agile. I want to, and people are pulling for it now, but they weren't pulling for it 15 years ago. Right? So again, the world keeps moving, things keep emerging. What was once a fact no longer becomes a fact, it shifts, but the
Right.
truths remain the same. We are humans who have to collaborate and have interactions to make anything possible.
Right.
That's truth. That's a
Yeah.
truth. That's not a fact. That's truth, right? Humans have to work together to keep this
Mm,
thing called the earth moving
mm,
so that humans can benefit from it.
mm.
Otherwise, you're not going to get your benefits. That's truth. And it's
I
a
like
truth
that.
we fight,
I like that.
right? Truth we fight with all kind of crazy facts we want to make up of people are different because they look different or they sound different or they come from different countries. A whole bunch of silly facts we've thrown in the space that when you put them into a hypothesis, they've been proven to be absolutely ridiculous.
I like that. Right. Truth is the truth, regardless. Right.
Always. It's
So you
constant.
got truth, facts, hypotheses,
Yeah.
opinions.
That's right. Go ahead, put a hierarchy on that thing, Victor. Put a hierarchy on it. Go ahead, put a hierarchy on it. But yeah, this is what we're talking about, right?
Yeah.
That's what it is. But you know, when you break it down and you come back, I guess, from a systems approach,
Uh-huh.
when you really look at all these things and how they
Hmm.
tie together and how they turn something up and turn something down, you're like, oh, well, hold on a second.
Yeah.
That's not really what it is. It appears
Yeah.
that way, but it's not really what it is. You know, it's like the idea we look at light, and light comes out one color, white, right? Beaming.
Hmm.
But
Hmm.
when you really look at it,
Hmm.
right, it's several colors merging
Yeah.
together.
Yep.
It's just the way you're viewing it from the shadow you're viewing it, you're seeing it as white light, but it's actually
Right.
not white light. It's
Right.
totally colored.
Right.
But it's your
Because you
perspective.
pass it through that spectrum and decompose it, right? And you see
You can see all the colors that are there,
exactly.
right?
Exactly.
And that's what we as professional agilists, right? Agile professionals have to help organizations see.
Hmm.
Come away and have a different view. Let's give you a different lens
Right.
so that you see everybody in your team counts.
Right.
And you want a product and you want innovation, right? You want this one single sound to come out of them. Because when you look at the oscillation of light, right,
Hmm.
it's sound.
Right.
So literally, you're looking for everybody to make one sound.
Hmm.
Well, for that one sound to come out, true collaboration has to form. And for true collaboration to form, individuals have got to have much better interactions.
Hmm.
So that's the stuff we're going to have to work on
Hmm.
inside teams, inside organizations, inside communities, inside our world.
Hmm.
That's the mission, right,
Right.
people? That's the mission. It's the
That's
mission that
it.
we're on. Sorry to have made it so big and blown you over there. Like, Lizzie, really, did you have to come with that? I apologize. It's in me. I can't help it. It's my DNA structure, right? Just is what it is.
Right.
So
Right.
I've got to come back and just challenge us to inspect and adapt. Be a
Right.
better person tomorrow than you were today.
Yeah.
And it's possible we can do it because we all have the ability to grow and evolve if we choose to.
Yeah.
Ultimately. So, Victor, what are your closing words? Because, man, we were at 1 hour and 4 minutes.
Closing words. Well, hold on. Before we do that, there's 1 day left in the 5 day challenge, right?
Oh, right. That's right. Oh, my gosh. How could I have forgotten? Yeah, I got so caught up in changing the world. Um,
What if someone hasn't joined yet but wants to join tomorrow? Is that possible, or did you have to
It is
start on day
absolutely
one?
possible. If you want to join in on the 5th day of the challenge, you are welcome. The challenge is open, the challenge is free. We will do a review of what we have done tomorrow. So there'll be a review and you will have access to the entire workbook. And once you're inside the Bearded Eagle alumni group, you'll have access to all the videos because you'll be able to go back and binge watch, right? And then work your way through. So if you want to join the challenge, 5:15 p.m. Central Time, right? Look on Facebook for the Bearded Eagle alumni group or go to my LinkedIn page. I'll do another post of it as soon as we finish the show. So if you go to my page, you will be able to see and you can join in the challenge. And I am going to actually put a poll because we're saying if everybody says they want a bonus day, I'll do one bonus day. Yeah, I got to have 12 or more. 12 or more because I feel it's the number of government. So 12 or more people vote poll for one bonus day. I will throw in a bonus day.
So would that be Saturday or would it be Monday?
So I'm thinking that's a good question. I should put that in poll, whether
Okay.
that's going to be Saturday or that's going to be Monday. That's a very good question. Thank you for bringing that up. I'll put it in the poll and let everybody decide whether they want that to be Saturday or Monday.
Okay.
And then we will do that bonus day. So it's been fun. You know, one thing to be said, we're agile for life, man.
Agile for life. Wonderful. So I think I'm gonna end with quoting the great urban philosopher Sean Carter, who I believe got this quote from A Course in Miracles, the book. I don't know if you read it, but
On the list now.
it says, "Nothing real can be threatened. Nothing unreal exists. Therein lies the peace of God."
Oh, wow. Say that again. Say it again. Say it again.
Nothing real can be threatened.
Mm-hmm.
Nothing unreal exists. Therein lies the peace of God. And that just kind of reminds me of what we were talking about, truth, facts, right? So
Yes.
truth can't be questioned, right? You can't, like, the truth is the truth, regardless of which way you turn it, right?
Yes.
And a fact or a lie or an opinion, right? So if you give someone the truth and someone tries to refute the truth, I think most people wouldn't get upset about someone trying to argue with the truth. They're like, that's between you and nature or whatever, right?
Right.
But if you give someone your opinion and someone disagrees with your opinion, a lot of people feel attacked or threatened. And that's because their opinion usually isn't based on anything substantive, right?
It's just how
So
you feel.
that's how you feel. Nothing real can be threatened. Nothing unreal exists. Therein lies the peace of God.
Wow. That is awesome. That is awesome. Because now you don't have to get bent out of shape
Nope.
to defend
Nope.
opinions and get into
Nope.
fights. So what's it about opinions? Because you just live in your truth.
That's it.
I love that. That is awesome. But thank you all for joining us on Let's Talk Agile. I know you didn't know we were going to go here today. Neither did we. It just emerged. It emerged. It's this wonderful thing. What happens when you bring two individuals together and you have interactions? It's why when you look at the heart of Agile, it says, we are uncovering better ways. You always need more than just you if you want Agile to become real to the world around you. Have a great night, everybody. Thank you again. We are so glad you showed up. We're tuning out. Again, reminding you to join us at Bearded Eagle for the last day of the 5-day challenge tomorrow at 5:15.